we doing later? Want to go to a beach somewhere?
Drink a spicy margarita.
Make some bad decisions.
Yes.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Backlot Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel. Today I'm joined by my co-host who we have all fallen for, Tanner Dykstra, and today we're here to talk about The Fall Guy, David Leitch's new movie to kick off the summer movie season with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. But if you have seen this movie or any of the other recently coming out movies or to future to come out movies, join our Discord, leave comments, subscribe, like the channel, all of that. Tanner?
Yes.
The Fall Guy. Summer movie season is here. This is the first time in a very, very, very long time that a major IP is not opening the summer movie season.
I believe if we remember correctly, it's not been since 2003.
Okay.
That
Do you remember what the movie was?
Oh, no,
No,
I
it's
don't.
okay. It's okay. But, Tanner,
yeah.
The Fall Guy. Summer movie season here. What do you think?
Tucker, I like The Fall Guy. I think The Fall Guy is a good movie. I think it has its issues, but by and large, it is a good film to kick off the summer movie season. Yeah. I think it has some bombast. It's got two great movie stars in it who have great chemistry. It's funny. It's enjoyable. It's broad in places, of course, but I think you need that for this kind of movie to be a start of a big summer blockbuster season. I think The Fall Guy sort of succeeds on all those counts. As I said, I have my issues with its comedy or its pacing, and we'll get into all of that. But I think the large takeaway that we both have is that, like, it's a fun movie. It's a good time.
It is. And I think that this is a movie that I almost struggle with as a critic because I find this movie enjoyable on a very unique level. And I'm excited to talk about this today as The Fall Guy kind of encapsulates something that I haven't really put my finger on before.
Okay.
In a video review.
Sure.
Which is, this is a good movie. It is well made. The actors are given their best. The stunts are very solid. The comedy hits sometimes. There are its issues with editing and pacing. But my big takeaway from The Fall Guy is, no, it's not a perfect movie. But you can tell that the people who made it care and were excited to go to set every day and work on it. And that director, David Leitch, and the writers and the actors were just... It was their idea. They were like, they were in this to make what they were excited and passionate about. And that feels good to watch. Yeah. It is a very on-set, on-location movie. It's real stunts. It's real people. The idea behind it and the message about giving stunts and stuntmen their props that they've gone unrecognized for a long time. This all feels very genuine. This is a very genuine action movie. And frankly, most of the big budget movies, especially action comedy movies that we get nowadays, don't feel as passionate. They kind of feel disingenuine. Like, oh, you're just getting someone whose job assigned by the studio it is to like deliver a product. This can feel like that in places, but I think the overall sentiment I take away from this is they wanted to make this, and I think it shows. Yeah,
I mean, I think what really contributes to that is something that you just mentioned in passing there is the fact that a lot of this, I mean, at the end of the movie, they show like a stunt reel, which is something you like never see, especially, sort of shown at the end of films. You have to go to like the behind the scenes stuff to see that kind of thing. And it's becoming increasingly rare, as we've seen, the unfortunate incidents where stunt people are tragically hurt or killed during the production of films is hitting headlines more and more. And with the onset of VFX, you can just sort of recreate basically anything semi-realistically in post-production and in visual effects.
Yeah. And also I want to say that I think this movie does feel fresh in its groundedness and realism in terms of this was actual things that they did, because most of the biggest budget high spectacle movie, which this is a very much a spectacle movie, those movies lean into things that you could not have done without the aid of special effects. Fast and Furious, Marvel movies, Star Wars, DC, these are the big IP, the big franchise blockbuster action movies that have been dominating for over the past decade.
Well, like more recent Fast and Furious, because
that's a good point. Of course.
What they do at the beginning of this film is like Ryan Gosling does like a narration over clips of actual pre-existing films. Fast 5 is in there. Atomic Blonde is in there, also directed by David Leitch. And Hobbs and Shaw gets a shout out there. There's a couple of them in there. It opens up on a guy tumbling down a hill. I was like, is that Hot Rod? I don't know what that is.
My point is more so that not that these Fast and Furious movies don't have great high quality stunts in them. I mean, some of the things in like F9 and like recent, like maybe not Fast X. That is a very horse shit, things going crazy movie. But the most memorable moments of spectacle from all these aren't the moments of practical stunts. They are going to space in F9 and swinging off the bridge and the bomb rolling through the city in Fast X and things like that. The stunts are present, but they are so subsumed by the VFX spectacle that it's very nice and I think very refreshing to have a movie that is committed to doing things practically, shooting on location in Australia. You are in front of the Sydney Opera House, blowing up a thing in the bay, and you're like, they did that. Yeah, that happened, and it makes it all the more impressive.
So yes, so we're done. We're done talking about Fast and Furious. We're talking about The Fall Guy, and a lot of its action sequences do operate in that smaller scale because they are done almost entirely on set realistically. You're looking at the stunt reel at the end of the film, and you're like, okay, that background was obviously CGI, or they enhanced the boat jump and the explosion in this scene. But nonetheless, I think that the in-text, in-film emphasis on stunt guys doing things for real, showing you the behind-the-scenes of movie production really dialed me in to watching these action sequences being like, oh, that's probably real. They're probably doing it this way.
Definitely.
Obviously, they replaced that with CGI there. I was a lot more dialed into it just because the movie was priming me to do that.
Definitely.
And I think I was having a good time with the action sequences from that sense. But I mean, as we had mentioned, maybe we should talk about here, this film does a lot of intercutting between scenes and will oftentimes interrupt its action sequences, cutting back to, most often, Emily Blunt doing her sort of thing. Because Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt are definitely co-leads here. They are getting basically equal screen time, much more equal than you might get in other male-female rom-com action sort of films.
Yeah, and that is both the biggest strength and biggest weakness of this film, because the biggest strength is the chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. I think the fun thing about these characters in specific, whose names are
Colt Seavers and
Jody
Moreno.
Yeah, Moreno. Yeah. We don't actually learn her last name until I think the
credits,
directing and everything. Yeah, but the great thing about those two characters and the actors portraying them is they are not stereotypical romance action leads. Yeah. And I think what makes them so charismatic and unique for characters in a big budget spectacle movie is that they're very awkward with each other. Yeah. Their romance is very like hand on the back of the head, like stumbling over your lines, doing an awkward thing because you're you're kind of clouded by your judgment is clouded by the fact that someone you like is in front of you. And I think that it's a nice change of pace from someone being super suave and falling for each other and delivering perfect lines. They're flubbing things. They're making awkward jokes at each other. They're catching each other doing things that are fist pumping because they got a kiss or whatever. That is it feels very genuine. And these two actors that we're used to seeing be in studio movies that are delivering the suave, cool, just on the nose person. But I think that this puts a nice spin on that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would say that I don't know if these guys. Well, I mean, Ryan Gosling comes from a rom-com background, obviously, and Emily Blunt has been in some of those things, but I can't think of any specifically. She's more of a pure action movie lead. I mean, in a lot of ways, think of A Quiet Place or Edge of Tomorrow or what have you.
Jungle
Cruise, if you will, where she does, of course, have the romantic lead in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who gets a mention in this film.
He does.
We'll get there, but. To speak on Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, yes, I do think that they have good chemistry here. It's not like, oh, I believe these people are in love or whatever. It's not like a Sydney Sweeney, Glenn Powell kind of thing that they were cultivating on Anyone But You, also set in Sydney.
Yes,
but it's more of these are two powerhouse, very good movie leads who are, as Tucker had mentioned, really caring about this project, giving it their all, being allowed to maybe improv on set a little bit, and that really shines through. I mean, Ryan Gosling is firing on 11 this entire movie, really playing into his comedy persona that he's cultivated from The Nice Guys and now into Barbie, obviously, and now into this. So I'm very excited to see where he continues to take this. He had mentioned that he's going to be taking more roles like this, more family-friendly roles. So that's really what he had said.
Yeah. And the supporting cast surrounding them, I think, is also good. I don't think any of them particularly excited me.
Yeah.
I think that my favorite was probably Winston Duke. I think that Winston Duke and Ryan Gosling have a very fun relationship, and lots of banter. You can tell that these characters have been friends for a long time, so they've got some inside jokes. They're always telling each other, like, what Ryan Gosling is basically always telling Winston Duke, like, what's going on. He's like confiding in him. And I think that lends for a nice, fun bond, and Winston Duke gets some cool moments of action as well. But the rest of the supporting cast I found pretty hit or miss. Not that they aren't good, but I think it's in their performances, but I think the writing and pacing of the movie leaves a lot of them feeling like they are underserved by the plot and the general pacing of the film. Stephanie Hsu is really only one scene. She's fine and funny while he's there. I love Stephanie Hsu, but she's barely in the movie. Aaron Taylor Johnson is interesting because I think he gets good moments as he finally shows up near the end, but also, he's a present throughout. I love the Tom Ryder bits. But he also he's doing a specific thing. He's doing a specific persona that is very obnoxious. It's intentionally so. But sometimes it's like, was that a good line delivery, or was it bad because Tom Ryder's a dick? Like it's hard to tell. But especially because he's so backloaded in his screen time, I kind of had a hard time like settling into his persona because he like just shows up and he's like everywhere. I'm like, what the heck?
He's really all over the place because he's doing. He will oftentimes slip into the character that he is playing in the film that they are making called Metal Storm.
And it's also kind of hard to tell where the line ends and begins.
And also, it's pretty funny because he's just clearly doing his Matthew McConaughey impression for that, which is pretty good. I got a good laugh at that. But the first time he does it, you're like, why are you speaking a southern accent, southern drawl for a bit? I don't know. I mean, do we want to do like spoilers for the plot of The Fall Guy? Yeah,
well, I think let's get into the general concept, which is a stunt guy is, as we know from the trailer, hired to go after the lead that is missing, but then it turns out he's not missing, and he's being, as the title suggests, sort of double entendre wise, he's being set up to be the fall guy for a crime. And I think that is it's a very focused, very simple, but I think ultimately a pretty satisfying plot of figuring this out and who's tricking who, and him ending up in these scenarios and then them being twisted back on him, sort of fake news AI style by the end.
Yeah, we get some deep fake mentions here. They sort of replace the actual murderer's face with Ryan Gosling's face in some security footage. So yeah, I mean, I think the plot is honestly quite simple. But they throw some twists and turns at you. There is some backstabbing. There are some people who are revealed to be actually in on the whole plot.
But it's not. It's fun and it's focused, and I think it works for delivering the moments of comedy, action, and romance. But it isn't clever. And so I often felt myself throughout just be like, yep. Oh, a twist happened. Yep.
Yeah, that checks out. You would do a twist right now.
Yeah, exactly.
At this
Absolutely.
Point in the story.
And here's where I want to lean into a couple of the criticisms of this film.
Okay.
Number one, now this isn't a major problem for me, so I'm going to let you lean a little bit more into this.
Okay.
But is David Leitch's style of comedy and meta commentary can be a little bit grating and can dominate scenes, I think, in a little bit awkward way of I'm wanting to watch Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, Winston Duke, Stephanie Hsu, Aaron Taylor Johnson deliver these funny lines and have back and forth banter, but then sometimes we need to make sure that this is a movie and that these characters know that they're making movies and we've watched movies in the past. Sometimes this meta humor and commentary can completely dominate the dialogue and the interactions, and you're like, just pare back on it a little bit. Again, not a major issue for me because it didn't really dominate my like mental thought process of the film, but it's very, very present.
And I've had these issues with Leitch action comedies in the past. I think it really comes down to Ryan Gosling being the saving grace here. I think he just is a much more He has a subtlety to his comedic delivery.
Oh, that's definitely true.
That I think, or a certain tenor to it that I think it serves the comedy a lot more, or makes it much more palatable to someone like me, more than like Ryan Reynolds doing his thing, or getting Brad Pitt in there, who's not a super experienced comedy star doing it.
Well, you can definitely feel the Deadpool influence.
Yes, you can, of course. But also there's these moments where it's exactly what you're talking about. We have to be meta. We have to say like, oh, this is like this thing from this movie that exists in the world of the film and also in the real world. Rocky, you know, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Jason Bourne, that kind of thing. It was like, and they just say these things, and we're supposed to laugh, as is the case with a lot of like David Leitch or broad meta comedy that we get in film nowadays. Yeah. We laugh, or we're supposed to laugh because I recognize that. Yeah. They said a thing that I know.
Yeah, and I think that for me, while those jokes aren't the ones that land for me, my problem with the meta commentary mostly comes down to when they are like describing a plot thing, or like, hey, the bad guy's
gonna, the third act.
Yeah, the bad guy's gonna say this. What if we wrote this in this different way, and then things end up kind of happening? And the element that I'm struggling the most with is the through line of Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt trying to write the movie together, talking about their relationship.
Yes, I get what you mean.
And that sort of telling you what has happened and what's going to happen in a very on-the-nose way. And I'm conflicted because I feel like some of those moments I'm like, just get it over with. We know what's going to happen.
There are long sequences too, where these two characters are having a conversation about like, oh, we're rewriting the movie and we're talking about the romance of the characters as a very blatant way to reflect like our romance and our struggle
and like working through their problems with each other. And again, I'm of two minds of this. I think that sometimes, again, it can be too domineering. They go on for very long. It can feel like, okay, that's a little bit cheap to like just like write it in this way. But also, it does feel unique in the way that they are going through their therapy with each other and like trying to communicate their problems, but neither of them can quite communicate it. So they sort of use this passive-aggressive, hiding their truth style that I think does work for some very good moments of comedy and does work for these characters and their dynamic. And so I think ultimately it's a positive because I come down on, okay, yeah, he's referencing Jason Bourne, he's referencing Rocky, he's referencing The Rock, but I don't feel like he's David Leitch and Drew Pearce, the writer, and the actors behind this movie or in the movie are doing this because a studio said you need to put references and Easter eggs and
they're doing David Leitch and Drew
just
Pearce,
likes doing this.
Drew Pearce thinks those jokes are funny. That's why they're in there.
And so I'm watching this and I'm like, it doesn't feel disingenuine.
No,
like,
I get you.
They think this is hilarious, and that's why they're putting it in the movie. And I'm like, that's so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, to speak to the whole talking about the movie, talking about our relationship thing, I think it also works. Yeah. Again, I agree that these scenes go on too long. I think that's from a concerted effort to like really give some time to being like, this is an action movie. It is also a romance movie.
And it definitely is. It's a lot more romance than I was expecting.
Exactly. I mean, it's like a ton more by share than you would get in another movie like this, an action, comedy, subtle romance kind of thing. There's a lot more time given to both Emily Blunt as the female lead and conversations between them about their relationship. Again, I come back to the thing of like, I think these scenes go on too long. I think they are perhaps intercut and interrupting action sequences. I think there is a pacing, editing thing that we can do to this film to tighten it up, make it more punchy, and make those sequences not have an asterisk next to them being like, I like it, but it's too long.
Yeah. And I think that especially with the intercutting and that messing up the flow and the pacing, I think contributes to like the middle 3/5 of this movie. Or not three of them, but like the literal like middle chunk of this movie.
Yeah.
It loses a lot of energy. I love the getting introduced to the characters at the beginning. I think that especially like the opening, like one take is really, really good.
Yeah, we're basically it's a kind of a flashback from the rest of the run of the movie where it's Colt Seaver's on set. Here's who these people are. Here's who I am. I'm doing a stunt.
He's doing some narration.
Yeah, he's doing some narration. And then obviously the third act action sequence.
Yeah. And I think that the beginning and the end are the strongest parts. Yeah. I also really love when Colt shows up to set for the first day and has to do these stunts and is like hiding from Jodie, but also wants to get to know her. And then the reveal of all that and like them rekindling and then the scene in the car. There are a lot of, I think, really, really good scenes in this. But I think and I like when he I like so many parts of this movie. I like when he first goes to Aaron Taylor Johnson's apartment and he is like just like looking at all this Post-it notes and trying to make coffee and then gets attacked. There are like many good moments, but it's I think really the moments when our characters are split up, then we want to be making sure that we're giving them equal screen time. Where I kind of check out. I'm not completely checked out because I like the idea of him wanting to get to the karaoke and having to do this action sequence in the background. And so cutting between them, like, okay, it makes sense. But Also, I just want to watch the action sequence in the back of the cars. Stop cutting back to Jodie in the karaoke. And the song choice is really weird going over this action sequence.
I totally agree, Tucker. I think that that's the intercutting thing. The action sequences on whole are good, I would say. They do have that grounded quality to them, but we've seen really stunt-focused action sequences be really, really strong in recent years. I think when we walked out of the theater, had noted you get Chad Stahelski in the John Wick movie. That's all stuntmen all doing it all the time, and it's electric.
Yeah.
Where in this, I'm like, it's good. Yeah, it's solid. I enjoy that. The needle drops are a little audacious, I would say. There is a lot of them in this movie. Basically, every scene has to be action sequence especially, but sometimes just other montage sequences has to be underscored by a known song needle drop. They reutilize I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss a number of times in this film. Sometimes incorporating it into the score, sometimes making covers. I thought there's one moment where they incorporate it into the score, I was like, oh, this is cool. I like this. But yeah, other times they just play it over and over again. And I like that song. I think it's a good, sort of 80s throwback. This film is based on an 80s television show. I thought that kind of it has that good tenor to it. I like a lot of the songs they're playing here, but I was at the same time, I'm like, God, could we do just a 10-minute chunk without a needle drop?
Yeah. No, that's fair. Because I think this movie is very go.
Yeah.
And I think that can lead to some snowballing. It's never confusing in terms of where characters are, or because it's a very simple movie. Yeah. Ultimately, these side characters are side characters. Mm-hmm. There are no side plots. Really, and it is about the romance, and it's about the mystery of what's Tom Rider up to.
Yeah.
And so again, I like this movie a lot.
Yeah.
I think the leads are great. I think that David Leitch is very passionate about making this movie in particular, and it comes across and made my experience as a film goer a lot more enjoyable because I was aware that this was a passion project, and we don't get those very often from major studio blockbuster movies, and it's very refreshing because of that. Some writing and some humor and some pacing issues aside, I think this is a good movie with a lot of charm to it, and a very unique and refreshing way to start off the summer movie season.
So what would you give this movie out of 10?
I'm gonna give The Fall Guy a 7.6 out of 10.
Okay, right on. I feel a lot of the same way about it. It's just it doesn't feel all there for me. I was going into it quite excited because this film obviously had a lot of positive buzz. And from the marketing and everything, we've been seeing a lot of marketing for this, pushing Gosling and Blunt as they're having fun here, and they are. But ultimately it just came out a little bit muted for me on the other side. So I'm gonna go a 6.8.
Sure. Well, there's our scores.
Yeah.
Everyone, go see The Fall Guy. This movie does not seem to be tracking particularly well. But I want passion projects like this to be produced.
I'd love for this to defy expectations this weekend, to get more original action stuff with movie stars in it like this. I dig it. I would recommend this movie for sure.
Totally. So go see it. Go comment your thoughts on it. Go tell your friends, and subscribe to Backlog Banter.
Bye-bye.
Well, back a lot, but do both.
You get it.
Yeah, But also, if I kind of said it then it sounds like I could be saying
they subscribe to both.
Yeah,
just to be safe.
Ooh, I don't know what he said.
I want to do what Tucker says. Man. Gotta make another one.
Yeah. I mean, the chunks were not.
The shake's so nice. You had to make it twice. What's the difference between a shake and a smoothie?
I'm gonna say a shake is dairy based. Smoothie's not. Let's do a little fucking research.
You can shake a baby, but you can't smoothie a baby.
Can shake a hand, but can't smoothie a hand.
Sure.
Can shake your ass, but you can't smoothie your ass. Well, I mean, hey, if you try hard enough,
you can't smoothie your ass.
Anything's possible in this bitch of world.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, wait.
Yog.
Dairy. Yep.
What the fuck?
Yogurt.
Get that fucking British shit out of here.
Yogurt, milk, or juice, but some can be made of all fruit. Base of a milkshake must be dairy, usually ice cream or milk.
Sure.
Tanner?
There you go. He's got it. He's got
it. A lot.
Flavor is added from syrups, raw fruits, but some milkshakes get their flavor solely from flavored ice cream. Chocolate shake.
Sure.
Chocolate shake that ass.
But wouldn't that...
Strawberry shake that ass.
Much to consider.
Vanilla shake that ass.
Yep, much to consider. Yep, much to consider. What are you peering about for? He's trying to think of more. He's trying to like the gears are turning. His steam cut out of his ears. He's trying to come up with a rager.
What are other kind of shakes? Caramel shake.
Yeah. Okay. Holy shit!
You give me the ammunition and tell me not to use it. You know.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that how like a gun store works? Well, I guess they don't tell you not to use it.
They tell you to use it. Just don't use it right now.
Just don't use it like on a person.
Just don't use it in here right now.
That's what the gun shop owners say?
Yeah. Although some of them do have
you can kill me.
Clauses.
Receipt here you go.
No, shooting
one free coupon, kill me now.
Shooting ranges. I mean, I say that, but I'm only really basing that off of how gun stores work in GTA. No, if we
how many guns do you sell at the Family Dollar?
Oh, I mean, that's the first section when you walk in. It's right next to the magazines. But
Get your guns and porn. Almost every hour.
Get your fucking AR-15 and People magazine. See what Blake Lively's up to.
Are gun owners disproportionately
Blake
obsessed
Lively?
with Blake Lively? Okay.
Absolutely they are.
They're gonna be really excited for
Super good.
What's the movie called? Hold on.
Oh, he doesn't know.
Oh,
it's on his teeth.
Yeah.
They're gonna be sitting in the theater yelling, "Yahoo!"
They're gonna be clacking their spurs together. And they got like a whip that makes
a lasso
noise. Yay! Ding! They got a spittoon.
They got a spittoon.
Now here's a question: do they each have their own spittoons? Is it like ding ding ding, or do they just pass one around?
Well, they have one at the ends of each row of seats.
Oh, I never let's go.
Yeah, so the guys in the middle, you gotta get some good spitters
get
on
arc.
you. Yeah, you gotta get arc.
You walk in the theater and like, all right, how good's your spitting range?
How good's your spitting range there, sonny boy?
Fall Guy?
Fall Guy.
Okay.
Anyway.